Hey everybody, this is David Hood and Grayson Mann with TigerNet. We're in Charlotte, ACC Football Kickoff, your third, what feels like my 95th. We've talked to the Clemson coaches. We had 4 Clemson players here today. The 4 Clemson players were great. I thought everybody sounded like positive vibes about the season coming in. Just your thoughts. You were here for a couple of days. Obviously, the lawsuit hangs over everything, but what are your thoughts just after a couple of days off of everything you've seen?
Yeah, so if you've been paying attention to the TigerNet sphere this week, I was here on Tuesday in Charlotte covering Stanford, Virginia Tech, Virginia and Tony Elliott, and the ACC. The drastic changes this conference took this offseason certainly hang over it. One of the best quotes of the entire week was talking to a Stanford linebacker, asking him what was it like to sort of get that initial change, and he said, "It's bizarre. I can't lie to you with that, but they're also excited."
It is bizarre.
Yeah, it's very bizarre is the word, but I think it's excitement that it's brand new. It feels like there's new life in the conference.
And reading your story, they have a kind of a back-to-back week where they go to Syracuse, to Clemson, and we looked at the mileage on that, and it's just a few hundred miles longer to fly from, say, Atlanta to London than it is from the airport out in California to Atlanta to do a Clemson game or to go to Syracuse.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of distance traveled and a lot of extra things that are added. But speaking of things that are potentially being added to the mix,
right?
We talked to Dabo about scholarships. You want to sort of you had the question. You robbed everybody's time at the podium with the moderation.
Ooh, yeah, so shout out to my wife, Nikki, who said, hey, make sure you ask Dabo about the potential. There's some proposed legislation to up the scholarship limit from 85 to 105. Now, they kind of almost wanted to make it unlimited, and I asked him maybe the third question or fourth. Usually he gets 10 or 12, and he took the rest of the time to talk about this, and I thought it was great because he said no coach that you would talk to is for this. They do not want it. They're at 85. They love it. And why he loves it, he is able to give scholarships to the walk-ons, or he's able to have walk-ons. And he said this way, now it's going to be everybody has to be on scholarship. You don't have walk-ons anymore. You don't have the guys that are coming in just to help out, that want to give you a great look. And he said, if you think the transfer portal numbers are big now, wait until this jumps up to 105, and then, where you've seen a Florida State or a Texas A&M and some of these schools, 30 guys in the transfer portal. Colorado, the entire state of Colorado transferred out, it seemed like, right? He said these numbers are just going to jump way, way, way up.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about sort of how Dabo approaches the roster building, and that part of it may not jump off the screen to the rest of the country, but him, that those 20 players that really are sort of develop what I feel like sort of embodies him as that underdog, the guy that sort of isn't going to be looked at very favorably, comes in and makes the impacts that we're not looking at. We've seen Hunter Renfrow, he referenced him today being one of those players that might not ever get a shot again because of this new rule. So there's a lot of changes. It's not fine. Nothing is set in stone, but it's interesting to see how he took the whole time. Because of you robbed the ACC of Dabo questions.
So players that will not be in the transfer portal and do not have to fight for a scholarship, linebacker Barrett Carter. Now, I was looking at him. His suit coat fitting a little tight up here today. Dude looks fantastic. He had some great stuff to say about this season.
Yeah, he told us that this was probably the quote of the day, and he says, we see everything, we keep the receipts, and we're tired of the disrespect. And I think for this defense, ultimately on their side of the ball, and there'll be a story dropping soon on TigerNet about this, ultimately their side of the ball was the successful, more consistent side for Clemson. But I think nationally there's a perception and there's a narrative that's been building, and I think whether you believe that's fair or not, about where the Tigers currently stand in the national sphere, it's fallen down a little bit. Opinion is significantly degraded on the Tigers, and I think if you're guys like Barrett, R.J. Mickens we spoke with earlier today too, and just seeing that constantly, there comes a time where the dam breaks and you're going to want to prove people wrong.
And yeah, so yes, now if you want to get rid of the disrespect, you go win football games. So that part of it, look, I get it. Clemson went 9-4 last year. They're not used to this. Dabo says, hey, we're still pretty, dadgum good, but you want the disrespect to go away, you have to go win football games. Now, I do want to say this. I asked Barrett, I said, look, all these defensive linemen make your job easier. Give me one defensive lineman nobody knows right now, or maybe they don't think he's going to be really good. he laughed, and he said, how about this? Jaheim Lawson.
Okay.
He said Jaheim, who we know has the
like
right
that.
bloodlines, right? Said the kid has put in a lot of work. He's big. He's strong. He said he is the ultimate pass rusher. So that's something that we're going to watch in camp. I know that Jaheim, I saw him in the spring. He looked fantastic. You can tell he's transformed his body. Can't wait to see him. And speaking of transformations, I was around Cade Klubnik at his camp last week. I was around Cade Klubnik today. You were around him. He, I have compared him. A lot of people have to kind of like a bouncing puppy in the past. But I think we have more of a mature, settled, bigger, stronger looking Cade Klubnik. He looked like he belonged here today.
He also is donning sort of a mullet look in the back. And some flow is developing.
Got some flow, some wings on the back. I saw that.
A new look to sort of signify what this season's going to mean for him. It is a big year for Klubnik. Last year, you could have attributed a lot of things to why things didn't go exactly the way that offense wanted to go. But some of the things I asked Cade in the big open house session was, what lessons are you taking from year one that are going to translate and help you grow as a player in year two? And he told me it's taking it day by day, and I think he got caught in a lot of the noise last year. And it's not easy when your program goes 4-4 for the first time in over a decade. It's tough to escape that chatter. And so he told me, I'm going to take it week by week. I want to simplify the play so when they're big and they come, it feels routine and we've been there before. And so I think for him in fall camp, it's, okay, I need to make sure I focus on this specific play, this running back package, this individual drill. I want to just live in the moment and make sure that we're not getting lost in the outside stuff. And I think that's hard for most first-year quarterbacks to take in. And so I think in a second year, we're going to see a more mature demeanor for him, and we'll see if that translates to a more mature play on the field.
I hope so. And, let's go back really fast. Cade gets his first shot, of course, against Georgia. Hey, you gotta have maybe the best team in the country to start out with, right?
That's team of the decade, really.
Barrett Carter was talking about Georgia. He said he lets his parents handle all of the tickets. There's obviously a lot of ticket requests. He went back to something he told us last year. He didn't feel like this team was prepared to take on Duke in the opener last year. He told us after that Duke game last year that he didn't feel like he was in shape.
Yeah.
And then he went back to something we've heard a lot about over the years. A few plays tell the difference in a game. Dabo likes to say 5 plays. Doesn't matter the final score. You win by 25 or 30, you win by 3. 5 plays tell the difference. And he kind of brought that up. It's the first time in a few years I've heard it from a Clemson player. And he said we have to have a playoff mentality in that opener against Georgia. We talked to Gary Stokan and Matt Garvey from the ACC Kickoff game. They both told us they think it's going to be a competitive game. Gary said he thinks it's going to be a 4-quarter game.
And look for potentially more of Gary on this little video cast.
Yeah, so we're going to have a little bit more from everybody here. But, it kind of capped off, talking to Barrett, what has been a good ACC kickoff. And now, we're going to look at fall camp, August 1.
August 1. Talking season is almost over.
Talking season is almost over. That's a week, not quite a week away. We get to go out. We get to go to camp. We get to see the first few minutes of practice. And there's a lot of things we're going to be looking for.
Eyes peeled. One of the first things that jump off the mind is how mature is this team day one? Because you mentioned it with that Duke quote, is they got to be ready from the jump. We got to be playoff ready from the jump. It goes without saying you're going to need that against Georgia. They would have loved to have had it against Duke, but that is ultimately going to be their biggest teacher, is how do we come out the gate swinging? Do they do that on August 1st? Do we see a different Clemson team? We'll obviously be able to tell you if we do.
And so for now, that's it from the ACC Kickoff. David Hood, Grayson, Mann, we've had a ball. It's been fun bringing you all the coaches' interviews last week. Grayson's really, as I've tried to recover from a knee injury, Grayson's kind of toted the mail for us at TigerNet. I really appreciate that. He's done yeoman's work. I've called him Padawan. He may get left off that day. He may lose that title soon. I may make him a full Jedi. But you're right. To me, talking season almost over. You get to go out, you get to practice, and then August 1, not that many days away.
We're very close. And once again, it's David Ho alongside Grayson Mann speaking. This was the Orange Crush check-in from ACC Kickoff. Stay tuned for more and have a great day.